Hello and welcome to today's podcast on Daily Dose. This is a program that brings to you sustainable and workable principles for your transformation in order for you to live your best life and be the best you. My name is Victor John Edet. I'm super excited to connect with you today. Thank you for tuning in and for listening to today's podcast. I believe you will get value from today's podcast. Yesterday we discussed a very important topic which is key for a successful life. In order for us to have a successful life and to live a life of purpose, in order for us to achieve our goals, we need self-discipline. Alright, that was what we discussed yesterday, and we saw the necessity, we saw the benefit, and how then we can develop self-discipline in our lives, because we see or we know a lot of people around us who lack self-discipline in their life, and you can tell the quality of life they live currently, despite the goals, despite the dreams they have, despite the vision. When you lack self-discipline, you can't achieve much. So in order for you to achieve your goals, in order for you to achieve the set goals you have already for life, for your career, for your relationship, you need self-discipline. Okay, we also discussed that it's very important that we have self-discipline because it gives us the power to stick to our decisions and follow them through without changing our mind, and is therefore one of the most important requirements for achieving our goals. All right, we went further to also discuss about the 5 benefits of self-discipline, which I will just quickly read through. I'll just dish out the points, the 5 benefits, and I want to encourage you, if you've not listened to yesterday's podcast on self-discipline, a key to a successful life, I will encourage you to do so you can get maximum benefit, maximum value from yesterday's podcast. Or I would say number 1 benefit is self-discipline establishes inner strength and character. Okay, and we also discussed that happiness is dependent on self-discipline. We are the biggest obstacles of our own happiness. It is much easier to do battle with society and with others than to fight our own nature. Dennis Prager puts those words together. Alright, we see benefit number 2, that self-discipline enables you to withstand temptations. There are a lot of temptations around us, so the ability to sustain self-discipline in our lives gives us, or rather enables us, to withstand every temptation we come across on the journey of success. All right, benefit number 3 is self-discipline heightens our chances of success. And Jesse Owens says, we all have dreams, but in order to make our dreams come into reality, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort. All right, benefit number 4 is self-discipline builds better relationship. For us to have a better relationship, for us to have a strong relationship, we need self-discipline. Right? Benefit number 5 is self-discipline makes it more difficult to be offended. As funny as it sounds, that it's true. A man that is self-disciplined is calmer and more confident and assured of everything he does. Alright, so we need self-discipline in our lives. We went further also to discuss how then do we develop self-discipline in our life. And we say number 1, acknowledge your weakness. Number 2, establish a clear plan. Number 3, remove the temptations when necessary. Number 4, practice tolerating emotional discomfort. Number 5, visualize the long-term rewards. Number 6, recover from mistakes effectively. These are the ways we can develop self-discipline in our lives, and we can become successful in everything we do, because it is key that on this journey of transformation, in order for us to be the best version of ourselves, we need self-discipline to actualize and achieve these. All right. On today's podcast, we will be discussing something very important, and we will be discussing 10 habits of successful people. Yes, I know there are a lot of successful people around us, and you've been thinking and you've been saying, what actually makes these people successful? What makes them so different from us? What is it that they are doing that you are not doing? What is it that they are exhibiting, they are practicing that you are not practicing? All right. So the differentiating factor between you that is unsuccessful and the man that is successful is what he does, the principle he abides by, the principle he practices. So today, when we come back from this short break, we will be discussing 10 habits of the successful people. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Thank you for being there. This is Daily Dose, a program that brings to you sustainable and workable principles for your transformation, in order for you to live your best life and be the best you. On today's podcast, we are discussing a very important topic, the 10 habits of the successful people. What are the things they live by? What distinguishes them from others? What makes them different? What do they do? What do they live by? What are the principles they live by that makes them successful? That we will be considering on today's podcast. The 10 habits of the successful people. As we begin this journey right now, I want to draw an example from the life of Henry Ford, right? Because in the entire history, no other person has managed to have personified the notion of the self-made man more than Henry Ford. Henry Ford is best remembered as the one who single-handedly created the US automotive industry. What Ford had only a limited formal education, born in a farm, and was expected to take over the farm when he grows up. Rather, Ford left home at the age of 17 and joined as an apprentice at a mechanist in Detroit. A career he chose that left him widely famous and successful. Okay, even with a short of okay education, Ford managed to revolutionize the mechanized assembly line. Detroit was later known as the Motor City because of his work. What is it that makes this man rich? What is it that makes this man famous and successful, set apart from the rest? It is not that they have got access to more resources than you. You are seriously mistaken if you think they've got more resources than you. Many of the successful people did not even have the amount of resources that you have access to right now. So what is it that makes these people build gold mines out of stones? Everyone wishes if there were a handbook for success or a shortcut that would make you instantly rich. But there is a good thing and a bad one. The bad one is there is no shortcut to success. The good thing is a change in your habits could make you more successful. A wise man once said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. So excellence and success is an act that needs to be mastered by habituation. There's a fine line between success and failure, and here in this case, habituation is the thing that separates you from the successful people. So what makes the human race so interesting is the vastly differentiating individualism. What is a sin to you might be a virtue to someone else. So When the beliefs are diverse, the habits too are diverse. All the famous people had two things in common. One, their dedication to living up to their beliefs, and two, they sticking to their habits. All right. So I want to ask you a question right now. Do you have what it takes to be successful? Because habits are what you are and what you become. And I ask you again, do you have what it takes to be successful? As we begin to consider these 10 habits of successful people, I want you to put this into cognizance, and I want you to be, after this podcast, I want you to practice what will be shared here, because this will take you from the level of being unsuccessful to the level of being successful. Number 1, the successful people start with the end in mind. Your goal is where you want to end up, so start from there. Average goals get you to average success. The highly successful people start with the end in mind. When your ultimate goal is ultimate success, you work much, much harder than you think you might ever think you could. So these successful people work with the bigger picture in mind and work daily on moving a step closer to their dreams. For example, Steve Jobs, the late founder of Apple. We know such a wonderful idea of bringing the iPad back from the 1980s. Also, we can also make reference to Microsoft. All right, so a long-term vision for themselves is what they were possessed with, that they've been able to sustain, that had carried them into their present, and is also moving them into the future. All right. Habit number 2. They are all about here and now. The successful people are not only all about the future, but they also work in the present. Although all the successful people start with the end in mind, they completely never forget about the here and now. Reason is because there is no point scheming your plans for the future and leaving the present flow away, because your present is your pathway to your future. What you do today, what you do currently, defines what your future looks like. So they don't wait to act. These people live in the present and do what they have to do at the moment. They do not always know the right direction, but that doesn't keep them from setting their sails high and moving forward. Action will bring you to your answers. Habit number 3. They don't hear, they listen. Alright. Steve Covey says that people are concerned with talking, that they never listen. There is a lot of difference between listening and hearing, and you ought to figure out that yourself. All the successful people were great listeners in their very own sense. They listened to understand and not just to reply. All right. And the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People puts it this way. He says, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. So you need to understand first, then you can later be understood. You need to understand first, then you can later be understood. Habit number 4, they are proactive. Okay? Successful people are proactive. What does that mean? The successful people realize that they are responsible for their choices. You choose to be happy, or you either choose to be sad. Your life is not happening, you are making it. These people don't go around blaming genetics, circumstances, or conditions for how their life turns out to be. Instead of worrying on what you can't control, focus on what is controllable. The successful people spend their time and effort on things they could do something about. Habit number 5. They don't fear failure. How could you be successful at anything if you are afraid of everything? The fear of failure is worst of all. Sir Richard Branson might not have become what he is now if he feared to drop out of school. Also, Bill Gates, also Steve Jobs. So, these people care the least about failure and work hard to avoid it at any cost. So, don't be afraid to fail. Don't waste energy trying to cover up failure. Learn from your failures and go on to the next challenge. It's okay to fail. If you're not failing, you're not growing. So your growth is dependent on the experience you are able to gain from others and from yourself, because life itself, it's a journey. So never you allow the fear of failure to pull you down from having fun. Alright. So the next habit of the successful people is they embrace change. Do you know what humans are the most afraid of? I guess you know, change. Most of the people might just go ahead and claim that they are not afraid of change. When under a complete overhaul of conditions and circumstances, people loathe change. The successful people have embraced winds of change and sailed through them. A change is difficult to deal with, but could be the most rewarding thing in your life. Walt Disney is a great example of people who embrace change. He started out as a newspaper editor where he was fired as he lacked imagination and had no good idea. So embrace change. Never you run away from change, because change has a great rewarding side to life in becoming successful. Alright. So another habit of the successful people is they work harder than you think. You might have heard this by now over 1 million times from hundreds of your sources and from different people. Right? But the truth is, they are working hard from hours before you wake up every day and more hours after you are off to bed at night. These people get up insanely early and they get working. So it's not about I will just do it when I'm comfortable or when it's convenient. No, they work harder. So successful people clock in long hours, not because they have to, but because they want to. What set apart these people from the rest is that they work hard for what they love. They work hard for the love of it. They work hard because it is important. They work hard because they desire to see change. They work hard because they desire to live a purposeful and a fulfilling life. Not just for the sake of it. Some people just do things for the sake of doing it or for the sake of the immediate reward they will get. No. Remember when we talked about dedication? You're dedicated to a cause or to a goal when it's important to you. So when you don't find importance in anything, it's difficult for you to be dedicated. It's difficult for you to give in more into it. So successful people, they work hard, not because they have to, but because they want to. They work hard for the love of it, not just for the sake of it. So put in more effort, put in more time. All right. Another habit of the successful people is they do not follow the crowds. Conventional wisdom yields conventional success. Most of the successful people are well known for their unconventional thinking. Think differently. As Apple shouts out to people, these people do not simply follow trends. Even the person who leads the orchestra needs to turn his back on the crowd. The successful people are all about following their dreams passionately, and they don't worry about where is everyone headed to. Be yourself and follow what your heart and your God says, not just because some flocks or some blocks is doing the same. All right. Another habit of the successful people is they take breaks. They take powerful breaks. Sometimes a break is all you need. All right? You don't need to completely unplug yourself from life. But a little refreshing and quick break would help you be better. Even the successful person or the successful people are humans. And even they care about breaks. So breaks are an essential to refocus on your work. Here's what they say about American writer, the humorist Mark Twain, that on Sundays, Twain skipped work to relax with his wife and children, read and daydream in some shady spots on the farm, which is very important for you to be successful, for you to be purposeful, for you to achieve your goals. You need break so that you can refocus, you can re-energize, you can re-strategize and launch out with much strength, much rigor, with much clarity towards your goal. Towards your goal. So it's very essential, it's very important that we take breaks. All right. So power breaks, short yet effective breaks, would steer you clear to your, or rather will steer you clear of your obstacles and make you much relaxed and focused. And finally, the habit of the successful people is they show humility. Humility is the essence of life. Success doesn't always mean it should lead to ego. Although there are many successful people who weren't too good with others, there were also people known for their humbleness. A true successful person doesn't come with an ego. The remarkable successful person, or rather a successful person, are almost as humble as fearless they are. These people never hesitate to admit that they have made a mistake or to apologize for the things they have done wrong. They admit their mistakes, they ask for help, they say they are sorry for things they've done, for the wrongs they've committed. To say they owe their success to others. These are signs of a true successful person. All right. So it is very important that we cloak ourselves with humility. For us to be successful, we need to be humble. I believe you got value from today's podcast on the 10 habits of the successful people. And I believe you will begin to put into action this habit for us to live, or rather, to live the level of being unsuccessful to the level of being successful. Until I come your way again tomorrow, thank you for listening and be the best you.